Today I'm going to be talking about what medieval nights really felt like. Imagine the sun slowly disappearing behind the trees. The warmth of the day fades, the shadows grow longer. The only light left is the glow of a few candles through nearby windows. No street lights, no headlights, no phone screens lighting your path. Once darkness arrived in the Middle Ages, the world became a very different place. Today we think very little of walking outside after dark. We simply flick a switch, grab a torch, turn your phone, or turn your headlights. But for someone living in medieval Europe, night was something to be respected. Journeys became more uncertain, unfamiliar sounds carried more meaning. The absence of light could feel disorientating. One of the first things you'd notice is just how dark the night really was. Without electric lighting or modern cities, there was almost no light pollution. On a clear evening, the stars stretched across the sky in astonishing detail. The Milky Way could often be seen with the naked eye, something many people today rarely experience. While the night sky could be beautiful, it also reminded travellers just how isolated they were. And I can imagine it would have been stunning. For most ordinary people, once the sun disappeared, so did daily life. Candles and oil lamps existed, but they were limited and had to be used carefully. Firewood and candles cost money and effort, so wasting light after sunset wasn't practical. Many families gathered around the hearth before preparing for bed. The sound of the night were very different too. Instead of traffic and distant aircrafts, people heard the wind moving through the trees, church bells making the noise, dogs barking for protection, horses shifting in their stables, owls calling, grasshoppers making their sounds, birds chirping. All of it was so much more prevalent than today. In some places, wolves still roam around the countryside. While attacks on people were uncommon, they reminded the wilderness could be unpredictable. And also, it depends where you are. There was many different animals that could be dangerous. Travelling after dark was something many tried to avoid. Roads were difficult to follow without light. Bridges could be hard to spot. A simple wrong turn might leave you lost in the woodland far from shelter. There were also risk of thieves or bandits on isolated roads. Particularly during less stable periods, many travellers preferred to reach an inn or a village before nightfall rather than continue in the darkness. Night also carried a deeper psychological weight. Medieval people often believed that unseen forces were more active after dark. Stories of spirits, demons, and strange creatures were passed between generations. Whether or not people truly believed every tale, these stories shaped how many people thought about the night, making unfamiliar sounds seem even more unsettling. If you were travelling, an inn could become one of the safest places to spend the night. Travellers, merchants and pilgrims shared meals, exchanged stories, and slept underneath the same roof before continuing their journey at first light. But they weren't luxurious. They offered warmth, food, protection from the outside world. And obviously you could meet some unlikely people that could cause you harm just the same. Sleep itself may not have been that different from many of us experience today. Some historians argue that many people practice what is now called segmented sleep. Instead of sleeping straight through the night, they often had a first sleep, woke naturally for a period of time, and then returned for a second sleep. During that quiet hour, people might pray, tend to the fire, speak with family members, or simply sit in silence, returning to bed. And also, if you were a knight, you would change watch, and you go check that you were safe. While historians continue to debate how widespread this pattern was, there is historical evidence suggesting it occurred in some parts of medieval Europe. As dawn approached, villages simply came to life. Roosters crowed, church bells rang. Once again, farmers prepared to return to the fields. The stillness of the night gave way to a familiarity of daylight, and another day of work began. Bandits were a very real concern for anyone on the road at night. These were often desperate individuals, or small groups who lived outside the law, sometimes former soldiers or people driven to crime by poverty or unrest. They targeted travellers because roads offered opportunity. Merchants carried goods in gold, pilgrims carried money, and lone travellers were vulnerable. Darkness gave bandits an advantage, allowing them to hide along the forest paths with no light source. It was so dark you wouldn't be able to tell if there was someone there. The fear they created was powerful. Even the possibility of an ambush could make a quiet road feel threatening, and stories of robbery spread quickly between villages, reinforcing the idea that night travel was dangerous and unpredictable. Imagine standing in a forest and you hear a bit of branch snap. Your eyes would immediately turn to see if there's anyone there, and this would play into this paranoia that why would you even risk going out? Another thought of this paranoia was the spirits, witches, ghosts they believe haunted the world after dark. They would make signs of the cross and pray, carry or kiss a cross or other religious items if they were travelling out at night, recite prayers, especially the Lord's Prayer or Psalms, return to the nearest village or church rather than continue alone, avoid places for being haunted such as crossroads, abandoned buildings or deep forests after dark, and they would then go back and tell stories of this experience, reinforcing folklore, which would then widespread and more people wouldn't want to leave after dark. So for many people, the danger of the night wasn't only what they could see, it was what they believed might be hiding in the darkness. If someone thought they encountered a spirit or a supernatural force, they would often stop to pray and hurry back towards safety. Whether the fears were real or imagined, they shaped how people believed and behaved after sunset, making them think twice about travelling alone through forests at night. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the fear and uncertainty of the night slowly disappeared. Farmers returned to their fields, merchants continued their journeys, villages came back to life. But for hours, every evening, the world had been transformed. Today is something that we don't think about, but perhaps the greatest reminder of all this. The night itself hasn't changed. The stars above us are the same as they looked upon hundreds of years ago. It's just the air pollution and the signs that are different. We have now light everywhere, but for back then, they had none of this. They almost had too much time to think, and folklore spread, bandits ruled. They took these opportunities to steal, to thieve, to maim. The main difference is how we experience the darkness. And this is probably one of the reasons that so many of us have the fear of the dark, because it's so encoded in us from way back then, in our ancestors and those before. Thank you for watching.